that sort of wonderment.
That's it.
They're listening to us now.
Not sure, isn't that just great?
They're
isn't
looking
it?
at us now.
No, but I think isn't it well for them.
Say hello to them. Hello, how are you?
Hello,
it's
how are you?
Destination Newry. I'm Rowan Hand. This is Veronica McCann. Veronica, you're a fantastically interesting person.
I'm so delighted. There was a priest said that to me once, and he says, "Veronica, I find you a fascinating woman when you die."
I said you're fantastically interesting.
Oh, well then,
fascinatingly interesting.
Well, fascinating and interesting. That's
nuance.
Semantics, actually.
Yeah, I'm not going to that.
But yeah, so he said to me, when you die, I would love to write your panegyric. So I said to him,
what?
I said, I'll write it.
And you read it.
You read it.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
I loved it myself.
Yeah.
You know what? After he sort of just had a sort of a pause, he laughed too.
Yeah. Just it's about timing.
It is, and it's about having control about what people say about you. So if you say I'm fantastic, if I didn't agree with you, I'd have to argue with you.
Well, I will be arguing from. I will be arguing from the rough box that they will lower into the ground, because I'll keep arguing to the end of time. I'll keep questioning to the end of time.
Well, it's a question of speaking your truth quietly, to an extent.
To Desriada.
Yes, and that's the old thing.
Be.
You know, and there's things like that stays in your head that governs the way you operate.
Absolutely.
You know.
I have you talk about your panegyric. I haven't done my panegyric, and I have to admit to you, I would rather like to.
But you'd have to.
We get it right.
What is it? Information is power, and if you have control over information, it's extremely powerful.
At this stage, and will not then. But what I have written is my death notice for the paper.
Oh, very interesting.
And it'll be in the Irish News, the newsletter, because I was in the Alliance Party, and I like to think I'm swanky.
Well, you better
and it'll
go
be in the
into
Irish Times as well.
You'd have to go in the Times.
Absolutely. And it simply says, "Hand, Rowan, I am content to tell you that I died yesterday. Be not sad if such be the temptation. For know that I knew at the time of writing this that by the time you read it, I would be in heaven and having champagne. Go easily and be happy." That's me.
That is absolutely lovely.
And I've got my own headstone.
And you do believe there's going to be champagne up there?
Oh yeah, well if there's not, I don't want to be there. You know, there's going to be everything.
I wonder will you be there before me, or I'll be up there and saying I flew. At that stage, I'll know everything. I'll say your man's coming.
Well,
like maybe next week or something.
Nod. You must give them the nod at the very least. But I mean, I don't know about it, and this woman's an adventurer, and it's all part and parcel of the adventure. But I mean, I was saying to you earlier that I've got concerns. The Alpha course is in Newry tomorrow night. And I think the first thing it has to do is to decide and prove to people that there is a God. And the second thing then, for people like these people around here, that God is a Christian. We don't know these things. And it strikes me that God, you know, the Church of England have taken the devil out of their baptism rite.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They no longer refer to the devil.
Yeah.
So, you know, ergo, maybe the devil's not such a bad fellow.
Well, I never give him any great thought, to tell you the truth.
No, you're just right. Because you see if that boy gets in on you. Because it's a bit like God, there might be something in it, you know, and you might as well keep on the right side of these people. Yeah.
If there's a devil, you may as well sort of keeping on.
Don't annoy him too much.
No, you're right.
Because I remember once going to the White Witches of Meath to make a television program.
I didn't know there was such a thing.
Oh, yes. Down in the middle of Meath. And you go out into the countryside late at night. You set the fire at about 10 o'clock. By midnight, you're there with the witches. And you're lighting the fire. And the fire is lit, and it all happens. They're all in their cloaks and all the rest. They're bowing to the four corners of the compass, and the winds from the north and the sun from the south. We call your powers with it. Very, very Christian, but just different names on it.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
So when we were leaving the site at 2 in the morning, we were leaving the site, and we looked back down where the embers of the fire were dying. We saw a blue orb, if you like, just over the place we had been, and shadowy figures moving within the orb. I saw that.
But they were the witches.
Oh, we had gone from the site.
Oh, excuse me.
But we had left some kind of trace behind us.
Yeah.
Some kind of.
And your mind was active, and it was in that sort of self-hypnotic state.
Yeah. Did you have any spiritual experiences on the road to Machu Picchu? I pronounce it.
My spiritual experience is walking, is doing with deals with God when I get out of my comfort zone on heights. I will agree to anything. That is maybe.
You ask him for things.
I tell him.
You tell him.
If you get me out of here, I'll give up drink for a week and stuff like that. That's the sort of deals.
Why would you throw drink back in his face?
No, but I do.
Mother, they've run out of wine. They have no wine.
I'm a Guinness woman because I'm Irish. This is for all them Americans watching. You know, if you give up your Guinness, on a post-walks, that is an absolute, total sacrifice.
Oh, absolutely.
You know.
It's a bit like me giving up my Rioja when I'm having my paella.
Oh, that's, oh God, yeah. Have you done the Camino?
I can't because of my feet. I have the most amazing. I have ankles that are now giving me bother.
I mean, you have beautiful shoes on you. If you don't mind me remarking on that, they're
I don't,
absolutely
but I mean,
gorgeous.
they're just a harbinger for what lies underneath.
Oh, is that a fact?
I have the most
well, I'll
lovely
tell
little
you,
feet.
if I was to judge you by the shoes, I'd say there's fruit all wrong with your feet.
No, there's not a lot, except my ankles, my joints, Veronica. My joints are not good because all my life, if I could step down from that wall, I jumped. And when I was, rather than carry one diving tank across the whole beach to the sea, I carried two.
Oh, I
was silly.
You were trapped by your own machismo.
I was.
And
I never thought of it that way.
Are you still?
No, I've caught myself on. And now, you were asking me about the Camino. I don't think I can do the Camino.
But you could actually. You can do the Camino at your own pace. And it's not high. It's not high walking.
Yeah. No, I think what I'll do actually, this is the most glorious thing that's happened to me, being here with Destination Newry, because 25 years ago in the BBC, I was coming in at 6 in the morning at 5:30 in order to put out Good Morning Ulster with Wendy and Seamus and Paddy and Connor. They were my people there.
You know,
I produced it.
Actually, I still listen to Radio Ulster. It happens to be the programme of my choice because, you know, it is local and keeps you up to date.
Yeah.
And every morning, I'm an early riser myself, but they're up and running from 6:30. They hand over at 6:30.
Absolutely.
And I said, it must be so hard to do that
You
day
get
in
into
day
the way
out.
of it. I did it, as I said, 25 years ago, was a responsibility for that programme.
Yeah.
And now, 25 years later, I have no bother getting out of bed at 4 in the morning, in here for 5, put the programme out from 7:30 to 10:30, work on the following day's programme. So fundamentally what I'm saying is you do what you have to do.
But you do, but it's the disciplines that develop throughout your, you know, within your lifestyle. And it becomes what you do.
Yeah.
You know, because you're talking about me walking. I'm a big walker.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm on the road
all the time. When did you start? Well, you know, obviously probably about 3.5. But when did you start walking for pleasure?
No, I never had an ambition to be a walker. You see, it's fascinating. So it's back to this whole thing. You follow the road, whatever road you're on. And I've another thing that I say: you bloom where you're planted. You
bloom where you're planted, and the leaf always falls where it's meant to fall.
You know, that is the truth. But it was, I didn't want to walk, but I wanted to stop smoking. It was as simple as that.
Were you a smoker?
At my generation, that was what we done.
Hold on a minute.
You know,
Hold on a minute.
Maybe
I am older than you.
Lots.
I'm 70.
And I'm out of 5.
You're 75.
Yeah.
You're a hell of a fine-looking woman for 75.
I agree with you. Thanks very much.
No, but I'm telling you, if I don't waste the opportunity of telling a beautiful woman she's a beautiful woman, why would I?
You know, and you've made my day.
Well, I don't think so. You hear that all the time.
You've made my morning.
Oh, well, for goodness sake, but you are. God, 75.
Well, I'm not too bad. No,
you're great.
The way I look at it, I possibly am as good as I can be for my age.
Oh, you are.
Or as good as I want to be.
You are.
Because if I really wanted to, say you wanted to go to sort of extreme fitness or something like that, which is maybe an aspiration that you might have when you're younger. It's not my aspiration now. But my aspiration is to be as fit as I possibly can. And to do that, I know it's physical activity. I know it's keeping your body on the move. But way back when I started to walk, that was not my prime driver.
Yeah.
I had to give up smoking because...
How long are you off cigarettes?
1980.
Thanks be to God.
1980.
So you may be reasonably assured that your lungs have recovered.
15 years.
Yeah.
When you see they start working, there's no absolutes, and there's still a population risk of, say, lung cancer. But possibly my risk of emphysema, which to me is, I'd rather have lung cancer and die than have emphysema and walk around with an oxygen. But maybe that's a sort of silly thing that you say because you know you're not going to die.
That's true.
But I started to walk because I had to give up smoking because my whole arena was the promotion of health, and it was totally unethical for me to smoke. But I was a smoker, so I had to stop. So if you stop smoking, you can't stay in the house. And what do? You have to walk. Yeah. So it was just as simple as that.
Can you remember your first recreational walk within that context?
I do. I can remember coming up. I had been at something I knew I had to stop, and I said, I'm going to have to walk. And I just got out the door and said, where am I going to go? And I went, I live up in Carrickmont, I went to the bridge. Now it was 0.6 of a mile. Well, I thought it was about 100 miles because I'd never walked that long. You know, so everything went from there. But 1982...
It's up the Dublin Road.
It is. I gave up smoking, but in 1985 I ran my first marathon.
You ran a marathon?
No, but you see, it's about goal setting. It's about the way, you know, you run your life, but you're better to run it to some sort of a plan.
Yeah.
Because there's an old saying, I can't remember who said it because I love quotations, I'm sure you do too. But there's this, and the benefit of not planning is that failure comes as a complete surprise.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not preceded by long periods of doubt and uncertainty.
Doubt and worry and uncertainty. And
you know, it's the truth.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I was fortunate that probably had a busy life, so I had to have a strategic approach to how I was going to run it.
Did you take early retirement or not?
Not at all.
No, you worked to the end.
I actually could have gone at 60, but it was in the middle of a project, so I stayed to 62 till I got it finished because I was working on a project and was with Manchester University, and I wanted to get it.
You were going to say Manchester United.
No. Oh, God, there's more to Manchester than Manchester United. Actually, Manchester United is very involved in, or Manchester University with health-related stuff.
Yes.
So they were doing a project that I was involved in, and I wanted it evaluated, and if I had left, it wasn't going to be done. So I wanted to leave. It was a legacy that I felt that I needed to leave.
So you're a woman of honour. You would fulfil responsibilities.
Flute me. That's another. Where do you learn that from? You get that from a way back. It takes you back to your early socialisation, and it must take you back to the family. It's the way it was made. And the generation that I came out of, which to a sense was based more on, there was a lot more discipline. Not. Well, was it in life? It came from the family, because the family was the greatest agent of discipline when I was growing up. They didn't leave it for the schools to put manners on you. By the time I left my home, I had manners.
Yeah. But do you ever see the young people now? The number of people that will not say please or thank you.
Yeah.
It's a small enough thing, but if you extrapolate that, it's a huge thing.
Yeah. But then it's social mores.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And maybe it wasn't cool or something like that. But maybe, I think young people are absolutely fascinating. You know, it's just that they're a different animal, if you like.
They are a different animal.
They're totally different. And I think you sit and I look at my grandchildren now, and I find them absolutely fascinating. And I try to make them see me as fascinating as well. I've got 8.
I have 16.
Oh, get away out of that.
Many great-grandchildren have you got?
Oh, God, I've got none of them. But you
I have 2.
know,
I have
you
2.
must be joking.
I have 2. I'm a great-grandfather.
How did you do that so young? You must have started off young.
I was very enthusiastic about the whole copulatory activity.
Yeah.
And that started me.
Yeah.
And then those who were a consequence of my copulation, they became, they married and had children.
Yeah.
My 5 daughters went and they, bing, 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 they all had children.
No, but it's lovely.
It's nice.
No, but it's different.
Yeah, would you like to do it all over again? In the same kind of tracks?
No, but you do it all over again. You know, there's that old Tibetan, you know, did you ever read the Tibetan Book of Living and Dying?
No, but I'm going to get it today.
No, but you should get it.
Yeah.
That's great. I got it years ago. You know the way you get, somebody gives you a book token. Well, if I get a book token, I'll always buy a book that I would never buy.
Yes.
So I bought the Tibetan Book of Living and Dying, but I came across this thing. It was a great book. So I actually gave it away to one of my daughters because she was having
that sort of thing.
But she was having a bit of a crisis, and she said to me one day, her husband's called Gary. Well, Gary and I are looking for a new religion.
Wow.
So I says, well, that is amazing, but where are you looking? So, I mean, she looked at me blankly. So in other words, it was a throwaway line. So I gave her my Tibetan Book of Living and Dying, and I said, I have a feeling this might appeal to your scientific mind. And she still has it, and it's sitting in the bathroom. So she still reads it.
Well, yes, of course.
It's an amazing book, but they have a story in it, and it's a bit, I always look, it's like my autobiography. You know, you walk down a street, and there's a hole in the street, and you fall in. You wonder how you get in there and you get up, you climb, it's very hard to get out, and you get up and you shake yourself and walk on. Well, the story goes on the next day, you go down the same street and there's the same hole and you fall in again. And you do it about 4 times till eventually you go down the street and you see the hole and you know that you shouldn't go into that hole and you walk by it and you walk down another street. I have that laminated and I have it sitting up in my house, in my office, and I read it every day.
At your stage of wonderment of life, you'll not be falling into any holes these days. You've got your route plan worked out by now.
You have your route plan planned out, but I turn around and you're back to the human condition. And maybe it's lovely to think that you'll never make a mistake again. But maybe if you thought you'd never make a mistake again, you could become very dull.
You could, of course, become
couldn't you?
dull.
So I'm
could
saying,
become
wouldn't
dull.
I love to have the nerve to fall into that hole again?
Yeah, and that requires putting wisdom aside for them. But there's a greater wisdom to fall into the holes. Was Machu Picchu, or Pichu, was
Yeah.
it the greatest walk you ever did? It's in Mexico.
Yes, it's in Mexico. But the thing is, and people always say to this, it's like saying, which mountain do you like in the most? Every walk you do has its own particular things. It leaves a lasting imprint in your mind. And you know, I've stopped taking photographs, which is maybe another thing apart from Benoit. I prefer to keep my memories of the things that are absolutely distinct.
Yeah.
And I still have pictures in my mind from Machu Picchu. And it's like maybe coming up to the very first pass and you're looking down the valley, and it's been such a struggle getting up because it's not a big, those walks are not big walks. It's the altitude that gets you. I mean, you're going up to 12,000 feet, and it's things like that you remember about Machu Picchu, is the fact that you overcome this thing, that your body actually did adapt. You produce more red blood cells, and your oxygen capacity just is improved, and it's physiological, and it happens very quick. So I mean, you're walking, and the scenery is magnificent, and the people are marvellous, and the country's so colourful, but you're still saying to yourself, like, physiologically, there's amazing things going on in my body to make me capable of getting up here. And I mean, what age was it then? It's a few years ago. It was about 72, I think, when I'd done it. And when we came down, the guide turned to me and he congratulated me. He says, you know, he says, at the bottom when I was going out, among the guides, they look at the different people going out, and one of his mates said to him, you're going to have trouble there.
Wow.
Well, it was fascinating because there was young ones coming off that mountain meeting me. You know?
Yeah, you had the reserves.
No, you have the reserves, but you also have the wisdom to go slow. Because I understand the physiology of exercise, and I understand what you have to do, and I understand the dangers of taking altitude too fast. Because you can flip and have a pulmonary embolism and die.
I would hit a
wee bubble.
I want to say that word, pulmonary. Pulmonary.
You'd hit a wee bubble.
A pulmonary embolism. You've caught me this morning with that one. A wee bubble. We want to avoid the wee bubbles.
You would, because
do you take talking about wee bubbles, do you take aspirin every day?
I don't actually.
I do.
Well, you see, we'll go into another pharmaceutical argument. If somebody without symptoms, there's an argument that there's no benefit.
No benefit, yeah.
You know, and I hope that you're on a low dose, that you're not self-medicating.
No. I take 75 milligrams every day.
Oh, I've forgotten what the milligrams was. I used to do
that.
Things. I know that. You know, it's below. No, there's amazing evidence for it. You know, in its therapeutic use, in its evidence-based use.
Do you know what I did very well with? I took. Again, taking responsibility.
Yeah.
I said to the doctor, I have no symptoms, but I want a blood test. Got the blood test done and discovered that my PSA was high. And then I said to him, I want to go, who's the best in Northern Ireland at this? And he told me. I went to him. And he said, oh, no, it's just your age, Rose, just your age. I said, I want a biopsy done.
Absolutely.
I demanded a biopsy, and I got the biopsy done.
Well, bully for you. Well, you must have been paying no harm to you, because that's not...
I wasn't paying.
I think that's fascinating.
No, I had no symptoms, but I was watching carefully.
No,
and
but
as a consequence, and men of my age out there remember this. As a consequence of the biopsy, I found that there were 3 cores of the 13 taken, and the 3 cores, Ilya demonstrated a 1/4-inch segment of low-grade cancer on the Gilson scale.
Aye, well,
so
you
I've
see,
been
that's
nursing that ever since and watching it.
But then there's something that you can do at that scale, because on the scale, what you do after that's dictated by where you sit on that scale.
Yeah.
And you can have radioactive seeds.
No, I'm away at low end of the scale.
Oh, well then, you're fine.
What I'm doing is, the seeds I'm taking is the juice, the oil of the pumpkin seed.
Oh, it's a pumpkin seed.
Pumpkin seed, and I take that every day. So we're watching it. It's gone down from 12, and we're down now at 5. So, and it's constancy at 5.
Well, possibly you're going to be a test case.
I might be.
No, but you could. You know, that's fine. You're looking after yourself, but they're also learning.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's the way knowledge is built up.
Isn't it interesting that you say that?
Yeah.
Because when I went for my last, I went to the specialist, and I had done out a page like that with questions. You know, should we nuke it now that it's at 5 and I'm healthy enough to take the trauma of that?
Yes.
And, blah, 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 blah. He said, would you mind if I keep that sheet?
No,
Because he was having that the genuine intellectual concerns of a patient.
And frequently asked questions.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
There you go. So
But
you could be in a little file somewhere.
Oh, I think I am.
You probably so.
I'm in a file.
An electronic file now, which is amazing.
We were talking about cloning earlier, weren't we, as well?
Yeah.
I don't know. You're going to have to come back. We're in our last 5 minutes.
Oh, well, that's
and
never
we've
so
gone
bad.
nowhere.
Well, again, we're back to the beauty of being retired and your disposable time.
Yeah.
I have loads of disposable time, and I'm at your disposal.
Where did you go to school?
Our ladies.
Ah, you might stay with me for the next interview.
Why,
because the
what's on?
current headmistress of Our Ladies will be sitting there, Geraldine Pettigrew, who
I've
know.
never met.
You've never met?
No, but I've
She's
seen her in the
lovely lady.
paper because actually I saw.
Lovely woman.
Yeah.
Lovely woman.
Very, very good.
And she's coming in to sit down here talking about 125 years, I think it is that.
That's right. The
of Our Ladies.
the book's out, but I have the original book.
Wow.
So they have.
You know, don't lend me the book.
No,
Whenever
I'll not
you do.
lend you the book.
You'll not get
it's
it in the 2 years
But I'd
before you
say
get
the
it
same.
back.
It's the cover and all is the same. There's probably a bit of the editorial and a wee bit
Yes.
added in.
Yeah.
But
do stay with me because we'll be remembering Our Ladies. And
I'm
we'll
in
be
it.
talking.
I'm in it. I'm
Are
an
you?
angel and all. I'm in it twice.
Sure,
I'm in
I
an
told you.
angel.
Anytime I meet you, I always say, Veronica, you're an angel.
No, but I never wanted to be an angel.
But you are an angel.
There's a thing about life. You should either be a good example or a terrible warning, and I think it's far more fun being a terrible warning.
It is all right. But I mean, would the real Veronica McCann stand up? Please?
I'm a conundrum.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know.
No, but you see, I'm going to tell you exactly what I think you want to hear. Do you know that's one way of playing this game of life, isn't it?
It is, of course.
You
But I
know?
mean, it's to use your word, it's boring.
Yeah.
It's not interesting.
No,
It's like
it
being an
can
angel,
be, but you have to.
But how does a
maybe,
woman who
maybe it's a
thrills-
game. Maybe
Yeah.
life's a bit of a game.
Yeah, well, it is, of course.
Yeah.
Because once the final
we
whistle
just
blows.
actors.
Yeah. When
That's it.
when the final whistle
Yeah.
blows and we go down in the rough box into the ground.
No, I'm being cremated
Are
actually.
you?
Oh God, I am. Yeah.
Will you
and
go
I'm going
into-
off Binion. I know exactly where I'm going.
You're going to be launched off in.
I'm going to be launched off Binion, and the Binions. That's part. It's in our constitution. They got to take me up there.
Wow.
And it's funny, I have a son in the States, and I was out with him one year, and he says, Mum, the next time I come home, will you take me up Binion? And it was just a casual conversation. I said, but you're not a hill walker, what? Well, he says, I don't want to walk up that hill after a crowd of strangers not knowing where I'm going. So I took him up.
So he knows.
Him and my daughter,
Yeah.
she came over from England, and we all went up. And they're not hill walkers. By the time I got them to the top of Binions, they hadn't even a breath.
Do they, may I ask, because you are an extraordinary person, and they are extraordinary people in their own right, but you are kind of a different chip of some block from another
It's
universe.
genetics, you know. It's fascinating.
Do they think you're mad, your children?
They
What do they
treat
make of
me
you?
with caution, I think.
Yeah.
Slight
Yeah.
caution. Probably, I'd love to be at a family roundtable conference when they're talking about me.
Oh, yes.
You know, wouldn't
Could you keep
love
your
to?
mouth shut? You wouldn't.
Because you never really know what your children think of you, do you?
No.
It's
I don't
sanitized.
suppose,
The
yeah.
version you get is sanitized,
That's a very, very big,
isn't it?
big area to get into.
I know, isn't it just?
You're going to do two things. We're at the end of this. We're going to play some
Yes.
music for you now. Andrew, will I play you? Would you like? I'll give you a choice. You can have
Yeah.
Enya, Caribbean Blue. You can have Clonad, theme from Harry's Game. You can have Yo-Yo Ma playing Gabriel's oboe. You can have Imagine by John Lennon. You can have Dark Waltz by Haley Westenra. Mozart's Eine kleine Nacht music. You can have The Bright Blue Rose by Mary Blige. What do you want?
I'll take that Imagine one, I think.
Imagine we'll have. Will you get Imagine for us, Andrew?
Absolutely.
And we'll play that. And will you stay with
Because
me to greet Geraldine?
I do. I
That'll
would
be
love.
great.
I'd love to actually meet her. I really
And you'll
would.
meet her here, and
Yeah.
you'll join with me in the interview of her. Wouldn't that be nice?
Well, I'm not doing anything this morning, so I'm fine. As long as, are you
You'll
sure
be clear
that
of here
it'll
by
not?
10 o'clock.
Oh, well, then that's fine. As long as it doesn't. At any stage, you can say to me, "I think we've had enough of you, Veronica, and away you go."
Veronica, I wouldn't say that. You're
No,
here
but it
because
was-
I think you're
Yeah.
I have an insatiable appetite for listening to you and talking to you, because you're a really.
Well, as long
fount
as
of-
I didn't
You're a great fount of joy. You bring.
spread a little sunshine.
Spread a little sunshine.
Is there a song?
There is. Have we got Imagine on? It's on. Right, let's get you sorted.